Hey everybody, Dave Bazanko here, and welcome to day number 30 of our self-motivation challenge. Now today we're going to be talking about the fact that anything is possible, especially after 40. Now we're going to go for a walk and talk about this today, but first let's just take a step back and say, hey man, congratulations. If you've made it to day 30 and you've got through 30 videos with me, you've now got 30 different perspectives on how you can approach being self-motivated to achieve your goals in life. We've covered a number of different topics over the last 30 days. There's many more topics to be covered. But in this case, we're just going to focus on wrapping up today with my final talk, which is going to be all about after 40, anything is possible. Let's go ahead and talk about that. All right, it is minus 6 degrees outside, so welcome to our walk and talk that we're going to do today. I thought this would be a fun way to start off this video because most of my videos that people seem to like the best are when I go for walks out in the short hills. So if I'm crying a little bit, it's because it is minus 6 degrees outside, and as you get older you'll find that your eyes get a little more sensitive to the wind conditions. And if I look like I'm about to fall, I'm terrified because I'm basically going down a snow-covered embankment here, and it's pretty slippery. We had some ice rain earlier in the week, which gave an ice base, and then we got like minus 15 plus down to minus 23 degrees wind chill, which just made all that ice underneath treacherous. And then we got some snow on top of that, so it's a bit tricky walking today. But okay, let's jump into it. What I want to talk about on my 30th day of my self-motivation challenge, and if you've stuck with me this long and you've checked out all my videos, hopefully you've found something of new perspective in each one of those videos that are going to help you stay self-motivated when it comes time to doing hard things. But I want to tell a story today. I want to just kick this. When I turned 40 years old, I was a mess. I was working 2 jobs. I was working shift work in a factory, 3 shifts that rotated every 3 weeks. I was running my own import marketing company. Everything was going fantastic. I was burning the candle at both ends. I was trying to be a present father, but if you've seen in some of my previous videos, you can see where my daughter, if I'd fall asleep when I was, with my daughter, and she would put makeup on my face and put barrettes in my hair, and just because I was asleep on the floor, just exhausted. And this isn't uncommon for guys who are in their 40s, especially if you're a dad and you want to be a present dad. You're trying to provide for your family. You're burning the candle at both ends. You're trying to be there for your kids, trying to be a good husband, all those things, and life gets messy. And some people look at that as the downward slope of their life. They have a midlife crisis, maybe go buy a sports car. Some people say my midlife crisis was going off and doing an Ironman, and maybe that's true. But what I did was sustainable, and it's led to health and happiness. And those were 2 key ingredients that were missing from my life, were health and happiness. Not that I wasn't happy with my family or my wife, but there was an underlying, why am I here? What's my purpose? And I think that's one of the things that a lot of people, when they hit 40, they ask themselves, am I just going to work a job for the rest of my life and be miserable? Or am I going to take a big risk and start my own company? And there's just so many options available to you. And what I did was I took a big risk. I started my own company, and that company succeeded on a national level for about 5-6 years. And then in 2007, with the recession, it all came crashing down. Everything that I worked so hard for was taken away from me because I got sabotaged by one of my customers, one of my buyers. They didn't have the balls to tell me what they had done or even ask me not to build the inventory that I built. And it was a terrible situation. It wasn't of my own doing or making, but I wasn't, when I started to see all the red flags that there were problems, I stuck my head in the sand. I got stuck, right? And then the longer I stayed stuck, I started to fall behind financially until the point where I almost lost my house. I was literally within 30 days of losing everything. And I had to start breaking all of my contracts that said you can't call the stores and ask, ever talk to a store manager. You always had to go through the buyer at head office for these national chains. Well, when I finally started calling stores and found out what the real problem was, well, we got to the heart of the situation, but it was just a little bit too little too late. So this is kind of the road that some people go down. They try these monumental things. They have these super huge goals for themselves. They go off and chase after the world and try to change the world. And if you succeed, fantastic, but the numbers are so small of the people who are actually going to succeed. And there's so many variables outside of your control, it can be just really, really difficult. And that does not lead to health or happiness. So part of my Ironman journey was trying to find happiness in my life, trying to understand what that was, and trying to find health again, because I certainly was not healthy. And I just watched my dad, or I was beginning to watch my dad go through his mental and physical decline with dementia. So I had a lot of questions that needed answers. And I had my own heart scare, and it was a stress attack. We thought it was a heart attack, but thank God it was just a stress attack. But that changed the course of my life, that visit to the ER. I chose to exercise and get in shape rather than take pills. But for 3 years, I just ran every day, just started running 5K, and that turned into running 20K every day, thinking that I'd solved the problem. And I hadn't. And so today what I want to really dive into is anything is possible in your life within context. Let's put it this way. Is it possible for me to win my age group at the Ironman? Yeah, that's possible if I put in the time and the dedication. Do I want to do that? Not necessarily. Is it possible for me to win the overall race? I suppose in some world it might be, but I'm 58 years old. I don't believe it's possible. Let's just put it there. There's the context. I don't believe it's possible for me to win a race. So, because I'm not prepared to put in the time or the effort. And then just physically, I don't think a 58-year-old's capable. So is anything really possible? I think that's a bit of a stretch. But I think anything is possible within reason. And I think that's the big takeaway here we're going to talk about. So, in my story, I go off and become an Ironman, right? I start running every day for 3 years. I don't take a day off. Don't know what I'm doing. I just think I'm doing something good. Really have no idea about nutrition. Why would I? I was just running and that felt good. But then I had that chance meeting with that Ironman triathlete. And he spent 5 minutes with me that changed my life. And after that 5-minute meeting, I had another chance opportunity to see a Ironman on TV while I was running on my treadmill in November, and got inspired in that moment based on that chance meeting and that one opportunity to think, hey, why not try and do that Ironman thing? Because I believed it was possible. At that point, I was probably 43 years old. I already was running a half marathon distance almost every day, which was nuts. I didn't know anything about recovery. But because I did that, because I summoned up the courage and the nerve to sign up for my first half Ironman Muskoka, and I'm going to be doing another video. My next video is actually going to be describing what a half Ironman is for any of you who are interested. That will be the next video after this one. And I signed up for Ironman Muskoka, and man, was I out of my comfort zone. It was exhilarating. It was terrifying. I wished I had a camera to capture. I cried a little bit because I was terrified and excited, and I just didn't know what to do with those emotions. And I showed my wife. I turned the computer screen around and said, I'm going to be an Ironman. She had no idea what that was or why I would want to do it or what I was getting into, but I'd become the type of person who sort of took on these athletic challenges. She had no idea what she was getting into. And to Robin's credit, she's been my rock throughout all of this. She's never said, I don't want you to do the next race. I've always had to look at her experience that she had as my supporter in the races and ask myself, how can I keep doing this so that I get her support, so that we're doing this together? And oddly enough, last night we were sitting down at the dinner table, and I said to her, well, here's how I look at it. I really want to do a half Ironman this summer. I need that for myself. I don't know why, but I seem to need this challenge. I think it would be really great for all these people on YouTube to see somebody who's 58 and taking on an Ironman again. Even though I've done this particular race 5 times, this will be my 5th time doing it. I've done a number of half Ironmans, I've done 3 full Ironmans. But here's the thing, just because I've done those, I've got experience and I've got wisdom, but my environment has changed. I'm 58 years old now, I'm a master's athlete. How I fuel my body, how I rest and recover are equally as important as how I train. So it's going to be a fun journey, and I think one that will be more relevant to older people, because everything, I did a search this morning. I was on an indoor ride this morning, 90 minutes on the bike, and I got on the YouTube, and I was looking to see if I could find anybody my age doing a 70.3 Ironman, or even an Ironman, and nobody was documented. It was all these 25 to 35 year olds, super fit, taking on this challenge. Well, I'm a 58-year-old Ironman triathlete who happens to be 20 pounds overweight with a whole bunch of visceral fat. I did a DEXA scan last week and compared it to the last one I had back in 2016. That was a year before I did my last Ironman in 2017. And yeah, 20 pounds overweight, and I can see where it all is, all that fat. So I'm currently doing a 60-day challenge, and I'll have a video about that to see if over the next 60 days, while I'm in my initial build phase for this Ironman, or this half Ironman, can I shed 10 of those pounds as visceral fat. And if you want to know what 10 pounds on your body feels like, the next time you go to the grocery store, pick up a 10-pound bag of potatoes and carry that around with you while you walk through the grocery store, and then put it down at the end. Imagine going running an Ironman or doing an Ironman carrying twice that weight unnecessarily. So what I'm trying to do right now, I'm trying to do this Ironman as an example of what is possible for guys who are 40 plus. And I can only give you my current perspective. I can remember back to what I did on my first Ironman. I can remember how that felt. I still vividly remember how it felt. It was so exhilarating. Having my dad at my first race, I remember, he was in a wheelchair at the back of their car, right by the finish line, or maybe 100 yards from the finish line. I still have a very, very vivid memory of my dad there. And I like to think that wherever he is now, he's looking down, he's pretty proud of me for what I've done, who I've become, and fulfilling his dream, which was, he always told me he had kids early in life so that he would be youthful enough to enjoy them as he got older. And while I did get to play basketball with my dad, because that was his passion, that made his heart sing, that sport didn't really serve him in the long run as far as BDNF, which is brain-derived neurotrophic factors, which is like miracle grow for your brain. And this is what exercise can do for you. It can give you a strong heart, but if done correctly, it can create conditions in your hippocampus to create new brain cells. And if you do have Alzheimer's or dementia, one of the proactive ways to beat that disease is to outrun it. Just create an environment for your life where you're always creating new brain cells, which means that disease has a lot more to take down before it takes you down. And hopefully you just outlive the disease. So lifestyle and how you exercise plays a huge role in what's possible for your life. So maybe you've been, maybe you're sitting there in your 40 going, geez, I've really screwed the pooch on this one. I'm not in shape. I've never been in shape. I've always hated exercise. As a matter of fact, I hate diet and exercise and have no motivation to get started. That statement, I've heard that so many times when I was coaching executive clients. And, their wives, typically I coach men, their wives and their doctors are all on their back about their cholesterol and too much weight. And everybody experiences the same problem. So I'm trying to lead by example. It's the only way. I'm not an elite athlete coach. I have friends who are. I listen to them. I read their books. We go on rides together. I glean a lot from them, but I'm not them. I don't try to be them. What I try to be is a source of inspiration what I'm trying to teach over these 30 days was how you can stay self-motivated. And what does that mean? Well, inspiration is when I met that Ironman triathlete for the first time on the bike ride, he inspired me to maybe think about doing an Ironman. When I was on that treadmill and I was watching the guy running and thinking, I can do that, I got inspired to think this was possible. And then I put my money where my mouth was, and I signed up for that race, which I'm going to be doing again tomorrow, and I'll talk about that in a minute. I signed up for that race, and as soon as I did that, my life changed, and it changed for the better. And I started to see that the further I went in my training, the more I pushed myself, that more was possible for my life. I started to believe that more was possible. If you had asked me on day one, can you go swim 4K? I would have said, not a chance. As a matter of fact, I remember we were in Italy and we were on the Amalfi Coast, and we were going to the island of Capri for a day trip, and we were about 4 kilometers from shore. And I remember standing there thinking, yeah, if this boat sank, I could swim to shore, not a problem. And as odd as that sounds, I'm sure nobody else was thinking the same thing on the boat, but I'm enjoying the shoreline going, yep. I'm always sizing things up because in my mind, I know what 4 kilometers looks like. And I'm like, yeah, that's not a problem. Kick my shoes off and away I'll go. And I'll try to save everybody around me that I can. And that's really kind of what this channel is about. I'm trying to save as many people as I can from a life of regret. Because here's the thing. Pain is temporary. Regret lasts a lifetime. I have no regrets. And if I get hit by a bus tomorrow, I can tell you the last 10 years of my life, I've lived them to their fullest. And if all I do is continue on this path of just trying to do great things, challenging things, live my life in a way that inspires me and others, I'll have had 10 great years, the last 10 years of my life. There used to be a commercial from the Canadian Heart and Stroke Association. They would do a split screen. On one half, they'd show a guy in a hospital bed hooked up to a respirator, virtually dead. And then on the other side of the screen, the same guy as a grandpa playing with his grandkids. And even looking at that, I'm like, that is such a horrible example. This guy, even the guy on the right, looks frail and in trouble, but not hooked up to a respirator, so I get their point. Here's my point that I want you to consider. My dad, because he played sports, had a healthy heart, but the sports he played and the way he fueled his body it fueled his disease. It didn't serve him in the long run. So, my dad ended up living probably 6 years beyond his expected life expectancy in a very close to vegetative state. He couldn't put 2 or 3 words together. It was really, really tough. He knew who I was. He was in a wheelchair bound, because he could move. Here's the funny thing. He would hallucinate. And about a year before he passed away, actually that's not true, about 3 years before he passed away, and when he was still living in an assisted living building with my mom, he woke up in the middle of the night one night hallucinating that the whole building was being shot up by people with guns, and got out of bed in the middle of February, in the middle of a snowstorm, ran out the front doors in his pajamas 2 blocks down the street and started digging in a snowbank. In his brain, he was hiding. There was a whole bunch of bad shit going on, and his body took over because he wasn't thinking about it. And then I remember visiting him at the hospital about 2 hours after they had brought him into the hospital. Thank God one of the neighbors saw him, called the police. The ambulance came and got him, took him to the hospital. By the time I got there, he was so excited to tell me about the people shooting up the kitchen. And I just watched his eyes, he just drifted away. The harder he tried to think about what he was trying to say, the neurons just didn't connect. And he was gone again. And so his body could still do what it was supposed to do, but the disease that he had, if he tried to think about it, it absolutely crippled him. So, is anything possible? In that case, yeah, nobody believed it was possible for my dad to run 2 blocks down the street in his state, in a wheelchair, almost vegetative. And yet he did it. So, there's lots of different examples of, are things possible in life? One What I'm going to share with you right now is that I've been on a bit of a journey here on YouTube, and I'm excited by it. It reminds me of when I was first doing my Ironman. And part of the journey I've tried to put into play in the last couple of weeks was trying to get people to subscribe to our channel, making better videos, trying different things, trying to see if I could do a challenge to see if I could get 1,000 subscribers. And what I realized was, if I hang all of my expectations on the actions of other people, I'm always going to be disappointed. But if I do this, and I say, look, I know how hard a half Ironman is. I know how hard a full Ironman is. And I don't need to do another full Ironman. I don't need to stroke my ego anymore. I've done 3 of them. I've done exceptionally well at all 3. And I know that fitting into my current lifestyle where I still work, I still have to be there for my kids every now and then. Of course, they don't live at home, but I got to support them every now and then. What I've learned is that I've got a lot more to give still. And if you see me looking around, all these trees up here are creaking. It's like I'm just waiting for one to come down on top of me. I hope that'll never happen, but if I look a little paranoid, that's what's happening. And I am. I don't know if you can see behind me. I'm on top of the Niagara Escarpment. Niagara Falls is just about, if I was to drive, it's about 20 minutes that way. And the Niagara Escarpment basically starts from Niagara Falls and goes all the way around the Niagara Peninsula, up north of Toronto and up towards Grey Bruce. It's just a beautiful part of the world. But I digress. Getting back to the Ironman. So, and anything is possible. If you're over 40 and you're a dad and you're at that crossroads in your life where you just don't know what you want, and you know that you want some health and happiness in your life and you're just not sure how to get there, I'm going to give you a couple of tips. 1, do some sort of fitness. I can't even speak, it's cold out here. Do some sort of fitness activity that you will enjoy doing. Doing triathlon, it makes my heart sing. I love it. I get to play on the same playing field with the world's best athletes on the same day on the same playing field, shake their hands. I also get to go out and train with guys that are half my age and younger. It is my fountain of youth. I have, with triathlon, if I ever get hurt, running, for example, which is a high impact sport, I've got swimming and biking to fall back on, so it's all great. I love triathlon, but you find what you love to do and commit to doing an hour of that every day. Get your heart rate up into your aerobic zone. What is your aerobic zone? Well, the bottom end of it is 60% of your target heart rate and the top end is 80%. How do you figure that out? It's 220 minus your age times 0.6 or times 0.8. How do you check that if you don't have a Garmin or a heart rate monitor? Well, all you do is take your thumb, put it on your artery, and for 10 seconds you count how many beats you get. And if you're getting, depending on the number of beats you get, multiply that by 10, you'll know your number. Me, I like being at around 220 beats a minute when I'm working out. That's a nice stable beat for me. That's going to get the BDNF that I would like to have because I'm doing it for a long extended period of time. But it makes me feel like $1,000,000. And you need to find out what's going to work for you. I'm not telling anybody they got to go and do triathlon. I'm going to tell you, if you ever try it, you'll probably fall in love with it because it's just addictive as hell. But I've been doing it successfully now for 15 years. And so getting back to Ironman Muskoka and the challenges, some sort of deer. I think I either see a deer or a wolf over there. It's tough to see, but I think it's deer. So I put out a challenge. I said, if I get 1,000 subscribers to my channel, I'll do a half Ironman. And if I get 100,000 subscribers to my channel, I'll do a full Ironman. Here's how that's going to change. I'm going to do a half Ironman because I want to show all those 40 plus guys out there who aren't in shape that anything is possible. And I'm going to be your guide through this. If you are trying to lose 10 pounds, I'm going to show you how to do that sustainably. I've got a 60-day challenge right now. I'll put out a video on that at the end of the 60 days to show you the transformation and how I did it. If you want to take up the sport of triathlon, or if you want to take up some other sport and you've got questions about staying self-motivated, leave those in the comments, because that's how we can connect and communicate with each other. I talked to my wife last night. Actually, I've been talking to her for about a week now about doing the Ironman and the challenges that I put out there. And I said to her, you know, Rob, I says, I think I'm going to do Ironman Muskoka for a couple of different reasons, even if I don't get 1,000 subscribers to my channel. One is because it's not about subscribers to my channel, it's about me and some of my selfish goals in life. And there's a part of me that's quest driven, that I've got to have a challenge to chase down. And so rather than just asking for 1,000 subscribers, I know I'm going to get to 1,000 subscribers. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. But I'm going to show you as an example. I'm going to lead by example and show you what it takes and what it's like to do an Ironman at 58, or a half Ironman at 58. And in tomorrow's video, I'm going to be putting out a video on exactly what is a half an Ironman, because I've realized that not a lot of people know what that is. So I'll explain that. So tomorrow, live on that video, I'm going to be signing up for Ironman Muskoka. I've already spent, which is a 70.3 Ironman. I've already spent probably 6 hours in the evening this past week mapping out my schedule for training, which is what I do, and I'll show you the process of that as well. I mapped out the schedule for training for the next 6 months so that the plan is in place. All I have to do is execute the plan now. I started this week. I'm feeling really great about where I am right now, how I feel. You know, my legs are a little tired, but that's to be expected. I'm doing a little more volume this week. I got to be really careful in these first 4 weeks, because I'm ramping up the volume from an hour to 90-minute workouts every day, which is more of a jump than I should be taking. I'll explain that as well in my training videos. But here's the thing. I will do another Ironman again, and here's my promise to you. When my channel gets to 100,000 subscribers, whether that's in a month, in a week, in 2 years, 3 years, when I get there, I will do another full Ironman, and I will bring you along that journey with me. Because of what I've realized is that there's not a lot of 58-year-olds or 60-year-olds who are on YouTube who are documenting the journey of trying to become an Ironman again at that age. And when I say trying, I'll tell you what, there is nothing guaranteed in life. Those races are not easy. Things come up. Yesterday I was at a funeral. My wife's uncle passed away. My father-in-law had 3 brothers in the last 6 months. 2 of them have passed away. There's 2 of them left. These guys were the rock of the male influence in my family. These are the guys who taught me how to have fun. My dad was very rigid with sports. Oh, here comes a guy with his dog. Okay, cool. And hello, how are you? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, you look friendly. Hello. Oh yes. How you doing? Good, good. He's going to be on YouTube if that's okay. No waivers to be signed. Have a great walk. Yeah. Yeah, so I had on my wife's side, they were mostly guys. On my dad's side, it was mostly women. On my mom's side, it was all women. I didn't really have a lot of male influences other than my dad. And so, you know, my dad was into sports. He was very selfish that way. And what I learned from that is that you have to be invested in your own health and well-being, but you've got to do it in a way that everybody else that's coming along on that journey feels invested too. So I brought this conversation up with my wife about doing Ironman Muskoka last night at dinner. I said, I'm really feeling like I need to do this. And, you know, she reminded me in a very nice way that a wife would how difficult it is as a spectator to watch one of these sports, because she only sees you for maybe 2 or 3 minutes in a 6-hour day or 12-hour day if you're doing the Ironman. And she feels like the expectation on her is to be everywhere to support me. And I keep saying, no, man, you don't have to do that, Rob. I'm beyond that. I said, I just want you to come up and take it in for what it's worth. Now, the fun news is, and this is just totally, I want to say it's the universe coming together, but the main title sponsor for this year's Ironman Muskoka is Lake of Bays Brewery. And I say this with immense pride that my daughter was just hired at Lake of Bays Brewery as one of their master brewers. And she's super stoked. We're moving her up north in 2 weeks today. And she's going to start her new career up there. And while I'm doing the Ironman and they're the title sponsor, I'm sure she'll have her hand in the event that day. She's very much a front of house person. And so I'm super excited just to, for her to be excited to talk to her coworkers and say, yeah, my dad's doing this race. And I'm super stoked to be a part of that with her. And just, I don't know where it's going to lead. I don't know what the day is going to be like, but boy, it makes my heart sing even just to think about it. So I talked to Robin and I said, look, it's going to be the two of us. We're going to have a hotel room in Huntsville for the race. But Caitlin's 20 minutes down the road. And you can spend the entire day with Caitlin at her house with Ralph, because Ralph's unfortunately moving up north with Caitlin. If you don't know who Ralph is, he's my daughter's dog, who I claim is mine, but she knows it's hers. And I said, you can spend the day with Ralph and with Caitlin and just spend time with your daughter and come out and see me at the finish line, because we all wear trackers, timing chips, so they can see us, they can follow us where we are on the race course and figure out when we're going to be at the finish line and come and join us there for the finish line celebration. So, boy, this is a long video. It's been 31 minutes. Let's do a little wrap up here. I'm going to take you to a cliff edge here. I don't know if we've got a good view here or not. But again, I've been walking along the top of the escarpment here. I'm going to just flip my camera around for a second and just show you guys kind of where I am, the beauty of this area. This is one of these big old comfort trees above my head here. Okay, so where's Dave right now? Well, Lake Ontario is way back there. I'm up on top of the escarpment. Along the escarpment here, you can see all these trees that go down the escarpment wall across, and then there's subdivisions over here, and then beyond the subdivisions you can see there's farmland. It's kind of this barren land. That's all grape fields. So we do live in wine country here. It's amazing, and I love taking you guys on these walks, because this has been my passion. Is I love walking with Robin and the kids, and with Ralph especially, on these walks up here on the peninsula. But I know I've been long-winded. I've been telling a few stories today, and I apologize if this has taken longer of your time than you necessarily wanted it to be. But the reality is, tomorrow I'm going to sign up for Ironman Muskoka. It's a big deal. Anybody who ever takes on a challenge like this knows how big of a deal it is. It's not something to be taken lightly. If you ever decide to take on a challenge like this, make sure you check in with your doctor first. I know that whenever I do a full Ironman, at least I check in with my cardiologist and get a stress test done to make sure that everything is good before I start all the volume of training. Right now I'm feeling really good. I've had no signs that anything is pointed in bad direction, so I'm going to try to train safe, train healthy, and I want to inspire you guys to believe that anything is possible. Like, it just truly is. You put your mind to it, you can do whatever you want in life. If you don't have anybody in your life right now that you can look to and say, there's a life I would like to have at 58 years old. There's a quality of life I'd like to have at 58 years old. If you don't have somebody in your life right now who you can look to and go, I want to be like that guy, maybe I can be that person for you. That is what this channel is about. It's about helping dads build resilient strategies so they learn how to take life's punches and get back up and keep moving forward. That's what this is about. So if you like this, give me a like, drop a comment. If you want to at least even just give me some encouragement to sign up for the Ironman tomorrow, type in Ironman in the comments and give me a thumbs up and let me know you're behind me on this one. And then for the next 6 months, I'm not going to be doing my daily vlogs, obviously, because the 30-day challenge is over for learning how to become self-motivated, but I'll be posting vlogs and how-to videos and answering simple question videos and going for a walk videos on how to stay self-motivated at 58. Keep investing in your well-being, your health, and your happiness. And hey, happiness is the joy you feel striving for your full potential every day. It's Saturday morning. It's minus 6 degrees out here with a little bit of a wind chill. It's absolutely beautifully amazing out here. I'm just so happy that that you folks are along the walk with me. So my next video, probably I'll link to me signing up for Ironman Muskoka. I think that'll be right here. Thanks everybody. We'll see you in the next video.